First contact in flames. The warning sirens echoed through New Seattle Colony's titanium-reinforced corridors, their wail a familiar companion to Fire Chief Kara Chen's morning routine. She drained the last of her synthetic coffee, the bitter liquid a poor substitute for Earth's original brew, but a necessary comfort on humanity's farthest outpost. "Chief, we've got another anomaly in Sector 7. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled through her neural comm. "Third one this week. Same signature as the others." Kara was already moving, her well-worn firefighting exosuit responding to her muscle memory. Pattern: identical to Tuesday's incident. Temperature spike, followed by spontaneous ignition. No apparent fuel source. These fires had been plaguing New Seattle for weeks now. They defied conventional physics, burning hotter than any natural flame should in the colony's regulated atmosphere. More troubling was how they seemed to think, adapting to their standard suppression techniques. "Roll out Beta Team," Kara commanded, striding toward the emergency bay. "Full-spectrum suppressants this time. Whatever this is, it's not playing by Earth rules anymore." The emergency bay doors parted with a pneumatic hiss, revealing her team already prepped and waiting. 20 years of fighting fires across 3 colonies had taught her the value of every second. The colony's survival depended on their response time, a lesson written in the ashes of too many failed settlements. As their rapid response vehicle carved through the colony's main arterial corridor, Kara studied the incoming data streams. The fire's heat signature was unlike anything in their database, pulsing with an almost organic rhythm. She'd seen enough exotic phenomena on the frontier to know when something wasn't just unusual, it was alien. "Chief," Rodriguez's voice held an edge she'd never heard before. "You need to see this." The holoscreen flickered to life, showing a view of New Seattle's outer dome. Against the stark backdrop of the colony's night side, massive shapes were descending through the upper atmosphere. Their surfaces rippled like liquid metal, reflecting the emergency lights below. "First contact," Kara breathed, during a fire crisis. Perfect timing. The aliens, there was no other word for them, were positioning themselves around the colony's perimeter. Their ships, if that's what they were, formed a perfect geometric pattern that reminded Kara of a containment grid. "Chief Chen," a new voice filled the command channel, somehow both crystalline and deep. "I am Sentinel Vex of the Archean Alliance. Your colony has been compromised by a Grade 7 stellar parasite infestation. These fires are merely symptoms. We request immediate evacuation of your settlement." Kara's jaw tightened. 20 years of protecting human colonies, of watching humanity push back the frontier one burning challenge at a time, had taught her one thing: you never abandon your post. "Sentinel Vex," she responded, her voice steady. "This is our home. We don't evacuate. We fight." There was a pause, filled only by the hum of their vehicle and the distant wail of sirens. "Chief Chen," Vex's voice held something like curiosity now. "Your species has no experience with stellar parasites. They consume stars, and these groundward manifestations are merely their larval stage. No developing civilization has successfully contained an outbreak. The evacuation protocols exist for your protection." The rapid response vehicle rounded the final corner, bringing Sector 7 into view. The fire had already consumed 3 levels of the residential block, its flames an impossible shade of blue-white that hurt to look at directly. But Kara saw something in its movement, a pattern she recognized from countless battles against seemingly impossible places. "With respect, Sentinel," she said, already running calculations through her tactical display. "Humanity didn't get this far by following other species' protocols. My team has been containing these fires for weeks. They adapt, yes, but so do we. And I think I just figured out how they think." She switched to her team channel. "Beta Team, form up. Remember the Titan colony protocols. We're dealing with a thinking fire. Rodriguez, I want pulse suppressants synchronized to my mark. Everyone else, standard containment formation. But watch for pattern shifts. This isn't just a fire, it's a test. And humanity doesn't fail tests. As her team deployed with practiced precision, Kara could feel the weight of alien observation from above. They'd come expecting to witness another evacuation, another retreat in the face of a threat they deemed uncontainable. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity had survived every challenge the galaxy had thrown at them so far. The fire roared, its impossible flames reaching higher, but Kara saw the pattern now. It wasn't just burning, it was communicating. And after 20 years of learning the language of fire across 3 colonies, she was ready to answer. The heat rises. The Arxian command ship's interior was all sweeping curves and shifting surfaces, making Kara feel like she was standing inside a living organism rather than a vessel. Sentinel Vex towered over the assembled emergency response team, their crystalline form refracting the soft ambient light into rainbow patterns across the briefing room's walls. Your containment efforts were unprecedented. Vex's voice resonated through the chamber, but you must understand. These surface manifestations are merely echoes of a far greater threat. The holographic display at the center of the room erupted into life, showing their local star system. At first glance, everything appeared normal, until Kara noticed the subtle distortions around their sun's corona. 3 standard days ago, our long-range sensors detected the first signs of stellar parasite activity in your system. Vex continued. What you've been fighting are merely its prodding tendrils, testing your world's defenses. The main body of the creature is already beginning to feed on your star. Rodriguez shifted uncomfortably beside Kara. Feed on our star? That's impossible. The energy requirements alone would be beyond your current scientific understanding. Another Arxian, introduced as Science Director Nelks, interrupted. Their crystalline form was tinged with blues and greens. These entities exist partially in higher dimensions. They consume stars not just for energy, but for the very fabric of space-time they warp around themselves. Kara stepped closer to the hologram, studying the strange patterns rippling across their sun's surface. The fires we contained, they followed the same pattern every time. Like they were learning, adapting to our responses. Correct. Vex's form shimmed with what might have been approval. The parasite is a single organism, learning through each interaction. Your successful containment of its probes was remarkable, but ultimately futile. No civilization at your development stage has ever survived a full infestation. The standard protocol is immediate evacuation of all threatened systems. Kara's eyes narrowed as she watched the simulation play out, showing their star's eventual consumption. How many worlds have you lost to these things? 17 systems in the last standard century alone, Nelks responded. Even with our advanced technology, we can only detect them once they've begun feeding. By then, evacuation is the only option. Evacuation, Kara repeated, the word tasting bitter in her mouth. She turned to face the assembled Arxians. You said these fires were probes, parts of the same organism. That means they share information, right? They learn as one. Correct, Vex confirmed, though I fail to see how this. And these probes, Kara interrupted, her mind racing. They're like, what? Nerve endings, sensory organs for the main creature. Nalx's crystalline form pulsed with sudden interest, an apt comparison. The probes serve as both sensors and anchors, helping the main body establish its feeding pattern. Kara smiled, the same smile that had preceded some of her most dangerous but effective firefighting strategies. Then we've been doing this all wrong. We're not just fighting fires, we're negotiating with a predator, and we just figured out how to hurt it. The assembled aliens stirred, their crystalline forms creating a chorus of chiming sounds. Impossible, one of them stated. The parasites operate on a scale beyond our comprehension, beyond our technology level. Kara challenged. Maybe, but we've already proven we can fight its probes. And if they're all connected, she turned to her team. Rodriguez, remember that resonance pattern we used in Sector 7? The one that made the fire recoil. Rodriguez's eyes widened with understanding. The pulse suppressants. They didn't just extinguish the fire, they disrupted its pattern completely. Exactly. Kara turned back to the hologram. We're not trying to kill a star-eating monster. We're trying to give it indigestion. Bad enough indigestion that it decides our star isn't worth the trouble. The Arxians conferred among themselves in rapid crystalline tones before Vex addressed her again. What you're suggesting is theoretically sound, but the scale required. Your technology simply cannot. Our technology? No, Kara agreed. But we're standing in a ship that can manipulate space-time. You have the tools. We have the method. Unless you'd rather add another system to your evacuation count. Silence fell over the chamber as the Arxians processed her words. Finally, Vex spoke, their tone carrying something that might have been respect. You propose an alliance. To attempt something never before considered. I propose we stop running, Kara stated firmly. Your people have the most advanced technology in known space. My team has spent weeks learning how this creature thinks, how it reacts, how it can be hurt. Together, we might have a chance to do more than just evacuate. We might be able to fight back. The hologram continued its grim display of their star's predicted consumption, but Kara wasn't watching it anymore. She was watching the Arxians, seeing the subtle shifts in their crystalline forms that suggested they were seriously considering her words. Chief Chen, Vex finally spoke. What you suggest is dangerous, arguably impossible. If we fail, both your people and mine will be at risk. Kara's response was immediate. Everything worth doing in human history has been dangerous and arguably impossible. That's never stopped us before. Into the fire. Multiple breaches in the containment field. Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos of the command center. The resonance patterns aren't holding. Kara watched as the massive holographic display showed their carefully constructed energy grid fluctuating around the star. The stellar parasite's tendrils, now visible as writhing distortions in space-time, probed relentlessly at their defenses. Each Arxian ship maintained its position in the massive geometric formation, but the strain was evident in the flickering of their energy outputs. Adjust harmonics on grid sectors 7 through 12, she commanded, her voice steady despite the mounting pressure. Match the pulse frequency we used in the colony fires. This thing remembers pain. Let's remind it why it should fear us. The Arxian ships responded with incredible precision, their advanced technology translating her firefighting techniques to a cosmic scale. The containment grid shifted, its energy patterns mimicking the successful suppressant pulses they'd used planetside. Sentinel Vex's crystalline form pulsed with urgent colors beside her. Chief Chen, the parasite is adapting faster than our models predicted. The containment strategy is working exactly as intended, Kara interrupted, her eyes fixed on the display. Look at its pattern. It's not just testing our defenses anymore. It's recoiling. She was right. The creature's massive tendrils withdrew from several grid sectors, its feeding attempts becoming more erratic. But victory was far from assured. The energy requirements for maintaining the containment field were pushing even the advanced Arxian ships to their limits. Science Director Nalx, Kara called out. Are you seeing these energy signatures? The parasite's response is following the same pattern as the probe fires, just on a massive scale. Nalx's form shimmered with intense blues and greens as they analyzed the data. Fascinating. The neural network is indeed similar. But Chief Chen, the power requirements to maintain this defense are unsustainable. Even our ships cannot. A violent surge rocked the command center as one of the parasite's tendrils slammed against their section of the containment grid. Warning signals blared across multiple displays. Grid integrity at 60% and falling, Rodriguez reported, his hands flying over the control interface. We're losing coherence in the upper quadrants. Kara's mind raced, drawing on 20 years of impossible fires and last-minute solutions. The parasite was learning, adapting, just like its probes had. But there was something else in its behavior, something she recognized from countless firefighting operations. It's not just attacking, she muttered, studying the creature's movements. It's protecting something. Her eyes widened with sudden understanding. Vex, your scans of the creature's core mass. Where is it most densely concentrated? The holographic display shifted, highlighting a region of intense spatial distortion near the star's surface. Vex's response held a note of confusion. The parasite's primary mass remains clustered in the southern hemisphere of your star, but I fail to see. That's not its feeding center, Kara interrupted, excitement creeping into her voice. That's its nest. The probes, the feeding patterns, this isn't just a predator. It's a parent protecting its spawning ground. Understanding rippled through the Arxian command crew in waves of crystalline chimes. Nalx's form practically vibrated with revelation. Of course, the probe fires weren't just tests. They were seeking suitable conditions for its offspring, Kara finished. And like any parent, it has instincts we can exploit. Rodriguez, reconfigure the containment grid. Focus all power on sectors surrounding that mass concentration. Don't try to repel it. Hurt it. Vex's tone carried clear skepticism. This is a stellar-scale entity, not some. Not somewhat. Kara challenged. Not some simple Earth creature. Maybe not, but it's still a living thing with living impulses. And right now, its strongest impulse is to protect its young. The command center erupted into activity as human intuition and alien technology merged into a desperate gambit. The Arxian ships shifted position, their containment grid transforming from a defensive barrier into a sophisticated shepherding system. Grid reconfigured, Rodriguez announced. But power reserves are critical. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast. Kara leaned forward, her hands gripping the command console. Now we give it a choice. We show it that staying here puts its offspring at risk, but we also show it a way out. She turned to Vex. Can your ships create a corridor of stable spacetime? Something this thing could traverse safely. The Sentinel's crystalline form pulsed with rapid calculations before responding. Yes, but maintaining both the containment grid and a stable corridor will push our systems beyond safe operational parameters. Beyond safe parameters, Kara echoed with a grim smile. Welcome to how humanity does business. Rodriguez, prepare to synchronize pulse frequencies across all grid sectors. Let's make this star system the most uncomfortable nursery in the galaxy. Burning hope. The command center's atmosphere was electric with tension as dozens of displays tracked the massive operation unfolding around their star. The stellar parasite's writhing form stretched across millions of kilometers, its otherworldly bulk distorting space itself as it responded to their coordinated assault. Power levels critical in ships 7 through 15. Rodriguez reported, his voice strained. The containment grid is starting to buckle. Kara watched as the massive creature twisted against their energy barrier, its movements becoming increasingly agitated as they continued their relentless pressure around its nesting site. The Arxian ships maintained their precise formation, though their hulls now glowed with the strain of channeling such enormous energies. Sentinel Vex, she called out. How's that corridor coming? The crystalline being's form flickered with exhaustion. We've established a stable pathway through the solar wind, but maintaining it alongside the containment grid. They paused, their next words carrying clear concern. 3 more ships are reporting critical system failures. The corridor's not enough, Kara muttered, studying the creature's movements. It sees the escape route, but it's still not taking it. We're missing something. Science Director Nalx's voice chimed in, their usual academic tone tight with stress. Perhaps the creature requires additional motivation. Our energy reserves could manage one final surge. No, Kara interrupted, her eyes fixed on a particular pattern in the parasite's movements. Look at how it's positioning itself. It's not just protecting the nest anymore. Her eyes widened. It's trying to shield its offspring from the star's radiation. We've been so focused on pushing it away. We forgot the basic rule of any evacuation. Which is, Vex questioned. You don't just need to clear the danger zone. Kara explained, already moving to the main control interface. You need to ensure the evacuation route is safer than staying put. Rodriguez, reconfigure the pulse frequencies in the corridor. Match the radiation shielding spectrum we used in the Titan colony fires. Understanding lit up Rodriguez's face. Like creating a fire break, but with radiation protection instead of clearing fuel. Exactly, Kara confirmed. Vex, can your ships modify the corridor's properties to shield against solar radiation? The Sentinel's form pulsed with rapid calculations. Yes, but it would require redirecting power from the containment grid. The risk is worth taking, Kara finished. Because right now we're not dealing with a monster. We're dealing with a parent trying to protect its children. Show it the safest path, and it will take it. The command center erupted into coordinated chaos as human and alien crews worked to implement the new strategy. The Arxian ships shifted their energy outputs, transforming the escape corridor from a simple pathway into a protected channel, its properties carefully tuned to shield against the very radiation the creature had been defending against. For several tense moments, nothing changed. The parasite continued its agitated movements, pressing against their weakening containment grid. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, its pattern began to shift. Movement detected in the primary mass, Rodriguez announced, his voice hushed with anticipation. It's starting to flow toward the corridor. Kara held her breath as she watched the massive entity begin to move. Like water finding its level, the creature's bulk began streaming into the protected channel they'd created. Its movement accelerated as more of its mass discovered the safe passage, creating a cascading effect that pulled even its deepest tendrils away from their star. Containment grid holding at minimal power, Vex reported, their crystalline form brightening. The creature appears to be cooperating. Not cooperating, Kara corrected, a smile tugging at her lips. Just following its instincts. Sometimes the best way to fight fire isn't with force, it's with understanding. The entire command crew watched in awe as the stellar parasite, an entity that had defeated countless advanced civilizations, voluntarily retreated through their carefully constructed corridor. As its last tendrils cleared their star's corona, sensors began reporting the first signs of stellar stabilization. Chief Chen, Nalx's voice carried a mix of amazement and scientific curiosity. You've just accomplished something unprecedented in galactic history, not through superior technology or force, but through understanding the basic nature of our adversary. Kara shook her head, watching as their star began to return to its natural state. Not just understanding the adversary, Director. Understanding life itself. Every living thing, whether it's a human, an Arxian, or a star-eating cosmic entity, follows certain fundamental principles. Sometimes the most advanced solution is remembering the basics. The command center erupted in a mixture of human cheers and crystalline chimes as the last readings confirmed their success. The parasite was gone, their star was safe, and humanity had just proven itself to be far more than a developing civilization. From the ashes, 2 weeks after the stellar parasite incident, New Seattle Colony's main conference chamber had been transformed. Where once stood simple colonial furnishings, now crystalline structures merged seamlessly with human architecture, creating a space that symbolized the unprecedented cooperation between species. Kara stood before the assembled delegation of both human colonial officials and Arxian representatives, still wearing her firefighter's uniform despite the formal nature of the gathering. Some habits, she mused, were worth keeping, especially ones that had helped save an entire star system. The Arxian High Council has reviewed the events of the stellar parasite intervention. Sentinel Vex announced, their crystalline form glowing with formal colors. What was achieved here defies millennia of established protocols and challenges our understanding of species development categories. In other words, Kara translated with a slight smile, we surprised you. Indeed, Vex's form shimmered with what she now recognized as amusement. Your species' ability to understand and adapt to unprecedented threats, combined with your unique perspective on problem solving, has forced us to reconsider many assumptions. Science Director Nauk stepped forward, their form pulsing with excited colors. The containment and redirection strategy you devised has already been successfully implemented in 2 other systems. The implications for stellar parasite defense across the galaxy are revolutionary. And yet, Kara noted, you're not just here to talk about parasite defense strategies, are you? Perceptive as always, Chief Chen, Vex acknowledged. The Archean Alliance has maintained strict protocols regarding interaction with developing civilizations for thousands of years. However, your actions have demonstrated that technological advancement alone is an insufficient measure of a species' capability to contribute to galactic society. The chamber fell silent as the implications of Vex's words sank in. Rodriguez, standing beside Kara, straightened his posture almost unconsciously. The Alliance hereby extends an invitation for Earth and its colonies to join as full members, Vex continued. Not as a developing civilization to be guided, but as equals who have proven their worth through actions rather than achievements. Murmurs rippled through the human portion of the audience. Full membership in the Archean Alliance was something most experts had predicted was centuries away for humanity. Additionally, Nalx added, their form brightening, we propose the establishment of a joint human-Archean emergency response division. Your firefighting methodologies, combined with our technology, could revolutionize crisis response throughout known space. Kara exchanged glances with Rodriguez, seeing her own mix of pride and amazement reflected in his expression. From colonial firefighters to galactic emergency responders, he muttered, not bad for a month's work, Chief. Just doing our job, Lieutenant, she replied quietly, before addressing the assembly. We accept both offers, but with one condition. The Archean delegates shifted, their crystalline forms creating a chorus of subtle chimes. State your condition, Vex invited. Knowledge sharing goes both ways, Kara stated firmly. You have incredible technology, yes, but we've proven that sometimes the oldest, simplest principles are just as important. Any joint emergency response division needs to embrace both approaches, high-tech and basic instinct, advanced theory and practical experience. An unusual request, Vex noted, but one that reflects the very insights that led to our current success. The Alliance accepts your condition. As the formal proceedings continued, Kara's attention drifted to the window overlooking the colony. The familiar sight of their sun, now restored to its natural state, illuminated the dome above. Somewhere out there, a stellar parasite was finding a new home, guided not by force but by understanding. It was a lesson humanity had learned through countless fires, floods, and disasters. Sometimes the best way to overcome a crisis was to work with nature's forces rather than against them. Chief, Rodriguez's voice pulled her attention back to the chamber. They want to start planning the new emergency response protocols right away. Something about a situation in the Carina sector that could use our unique perspective. Kara nodded, a familiar sense of purpose filling her chest. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through overwhelming force or superior technology, but through their fundamental understanding of life itself. From the smallest colonial fire to the largest cosmic entities. Well then, Lieutenant, she said, turning back to the assembled delegates with a determined smile, let's show them how humanity handles an emergency. The sun continued its steady shine through the colony's dome, its light now carrying a different meaning. It was no longer just the star they had saved, but a beacon announcing humanity's arrival on the galactic stage, not as conquerors or technological marvels, but as problem solvers, protectors, and pioneers of a new way of thinking about the universe and its challenges. In the end, it wasn't humanity's weapons or machines that had earned them their place among the stars. It was their ability to understand, adapt, and find solutions where others saw only threats. And now, with the combined knowledge of human intuition and alien technology, they were ready to face whatever new challenges the galaxy had in store.